Right now on The Real Story, a landmark ruling of the nation's highest court overturned Roe v. Wade, abortion rights. While one side is protesting, another is celebrating. Where do we go from here? Both sides of this hot-button issue. Plus, the month of July, it doesn't only mark our nation's independence, but also the start of a new fiscal year and a bunch of new state laws to go along with it. What are they, and can they actually save you some money? All right, good Sunday morning, everybody, and welcome to The Real Story. I'm Matt Caron. It has been the law of the land since 1973. Roe v. Wade, abortion rights. It is still the law of the state. The pro-choice movement feeling betrayed, the pro-life movement feeling overjoyed. Joining me this morning is Democratic State Rep Jillian Gilchrest, an architect of legislation meant to protect abortion rights here in Connecticut, and on the pro-life side, Carol Tobias, the president of the National Right to Life Committee. Thank you both so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to begin with this. This is obviously an emotional issue. So this is a big question I want to start with, perhaps a fundamental question that forms your ideology on this issue, and I'll ask it to both of you. When does life begin, in your opinion? What makes you think that you're correct in how you define it, and is it a question for you of faith or of science? Jillian, we'll start with you.
Great question. But where I really come at this issue is seeing it as, I trust in women. I trust in women to make the decision that's best for their lives, their health care. And so I think that we should trust in women and providers to be able to decide when they need an abortion. And I do think that Roe had a very good balance in terms of looking at this in terms of viability. It had lasted for 49 years, and I think it was a good framework for us to be going off of.
Carol, can you put a time frame on it? When does life begin for you?
I can absolutely put a time frame on it. There is absolutely no doubt that at the moment of fertilization, a new human life has begun. Science, biology, faith, it doesn't matter where you put it. You cannot argue that a new life is beginning at any other point in the pregnancy. Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided, as I think Justice Alito's brilliant opinion pointed out. There absolutely is nothing in the Constitution that said that there was a right to kill unborn children. The state laws prior to 1973 still overwhelmingly protected unborn children. So I think this was absolutely the correct decision, and you're right, I'm one of those celebrating.
Okay. I have a question just for you, Jillian. Jillian, Connecticut, as you know, has some of the strongest abortion protections in the nation. Abortion rights are codified into statute here. And some people have said Roe v. Wade being overturned doesn't really matter here in Connecticut. What changes? I mean, are they wrong? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. And we actually, in the last legislative session, have strengthened our abortion laws here in the state of Connecticut. So we've done two things. We've ensured that we have greater access to abortion care here in Connecticut by expanding the types of providers who can provide aspiration abortion. And we've also put into place protections for individuals who are seeking legal abortion care here in the state of Connecticut who are coming from other states. And so at this point in time, individuals can still obtain a legal abortion in the state of Connecticut.
So, as I mentioned, abortion rights, being codified into statute here, but some have floated the idea of getting it put into the state constitution. Do you think that should happen, and what would be the practical benefit of doing that, Jillian?
So we're actually having conversations with the Attorney General's office because we think that our Constitution already protects the right to access abortion because we've codified the right to privacy. And so we are going further to better understand that before we move forward to try and get abortion codified in the Constitution. And there's a case actually currently in Florida where they have not upheld a 15-week abortion ban because their Constitution actually protects privacy. So we'll be looking into that further before we move forward with a constitutional amendment regarding abortion.
Okay. Carol, I wanted to ask you, obviously, you and your organization represent a pro-life position, but is there any instance in which you would consider an abortion to be allowable or okay, be it the health of the mother or in a case of rape or incest?
Abortion ends the life of a human being. There's no question. There are two lives involved in every abortion decision, the mother and the baby. My organization says that if the mother's life is in danger, then definitely the abortion is a necessary procedure. But other than that, we are going to strongly encourage women to let their children live, give them life. There is help available if she needs it. If she wants adoption as an option, I mean, there are a lot of different things that can be done, but we would just encourage her not to end the life of that child.
So I heard you say an exception would be the health of the mother, but rape and incest, what did you say about that?
No, I didn't say health of the mother. I said life of the mother.
Okay.
There are certainly some difficult situations, but always I think we need to consider that there are two lives to consider.
It's hard to talk about Roe v. Wade without talking about Griswold versus Connecticut, another Supreme Court decision that protected the right to use contraceptives. Some would argue that if you want to prevent abortion, you first have to prevent unwanted pregnancy, which would mean either abstinence or birth control. So, Carol, do you support overturning Griswold versus Connecticut as well? And if so, why?
No. And quite frankly, I have not heard anybody say that they're going after contraceptives. I am not aware of any state that says they are going to try limiting them. I think that's one of the arguments being pushed to get people upset over what the Supreme Court did in Dobbs. But no one's going after contraceptives. That's going to be readily available.
Jillian, what do you think about Griswold versus Connecticut? It has a lot of history here in our state.
Well, I don't think people are overreacting because Justice Thomas, in his concurring opinion, actually referred to Griswold v. Connecticut and said that that should be next. We've also heard some in the anti-choice community speaking about IUDs. So I'm more concerned about the types of birth control that the anti-choice movement might come after. And once again, I believe in women's bodily autonomy. I believe that an individual should be able to choose whether or when to have a child. And as you mentioned, birth control can help us prevent unintended pregnancies. And so I think we should be working, as we do in the state of Connecticut, to increase access to birth control and Plan B.
Matt, if I can
go ahead.
Just one thing. Quite frankly, abortion is being used as a method of birth control, which, as I said, takes the life of a child. If women want to use the other forms, that's fine. I would just encourage them not to use abortion as birth control, which that is how it's being used in this country.
Far left and far right extremist groups have both been active since the Roe v. Wade announcement and calling for violence against the other side. In fact, it was going on long before Roe v. Wade was overturned. In 2021, assaults against abortion clinics and patients rose 128%. What do each of you want to say to the fringe groups on your side of the aisle? Jillian, start with you.
It's been decades of violence against not only abortion clinics, but there's been the murder of many abortion providers. And then women are constantly harassed as they enter abortion clinics to access legal abortion care in the state of Connecticut and elsewhere across this country. So I am completely opposed to any violence on either side. I would hope, and I work towards getting to a place where we can have civil discourse. I think that's the best way to have these conversations and to push for the change you want. And I think it actually goes counter to the message and the purpose of our work if you enact violence against others.
And Carol, speaking of attacks, I was doing some research for this interview, and I tried to log on to the National Right to Life Committee website, and I couldn't. I went to your Facebook page after that, and I found out you said you've been under constant cyber attack. Have you learned anything else about that since then?
We've got some information, but we have filed complaints with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI. Our website is definitely under attack. When we think we've got it back working, they can immediately, whoever it is immediately changing something to keep it down. But we have seen over the last couple of months violence against pregnancy resource centers, against pro-life organizations, against churches. So the violence is on both sides. This is something that Jillian and I certainly agree on. And when there have been attacks against abortion facilities, National Right to Life has been very vocal in condemning that violence. We see abortion as being violence in the womb, and we are very much opposed to that. We are also opposed to violence against abortion facilities or pregnancy resource centers.
Okay. I want to get both your thoughts on this. We'll bring it back a little more local here to the state of Connecticut. Here in Connecticut, the General Assembly passed a law that does two things. Jillian, you alluded to it a little earlier. Number one, it expands the number of providers that can conduct abortions. And number two, it offers safe harbor to patients and clinicians from out of state who face prosecution from being extradited. Curious to get both of your thoughts on this law. And Jillian, since you were one of the people who wrote it, we'll start with you.
Great. So I'm very proud of the law. It codified an attorney general's opinion to update our 1990 law to ensure that advanced practitioners could provide medication abortion. And then, like I said earlier, it also now brings us in line with 14 other states by allowing these same advanced practitioners to perform aspiration abortion. Both of those types of abortion are performed within the first trimester. We had heard that it was taking on average 2 weeks to access aspiration abortion here in the state of Connecticut, and it is a time-sensitive procedure. And so we do anticipate we might see an influx from other states. So we hope that this shortens that waiting time here in the state of Connecticut so folks can access legal abortion care.
Okay.
Additionally, it provides protections against laws, for example, like Texas, where they have deputized citizens to go after individuals who assist someone in getting an abortion. So we are not protecting providers.
I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to give Carol a chance to answer because we're running a little short on time.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem at all. So your thoughts on Connecticut's new law, Carol?
I think it's sad that they are allowing non-physicians to perform abortions. It's hard to say that they're concerned about the safety of women when they do that. We also know that there are abortionists in other states who maim, injure women during the abortion. Do the voters of Connecticut, the people of Connecticut, really want those abortionists to be able to come to Connecticut, stay there, and then have their tax dollars used to protect and defend them? I'm not sure they understand quite how far this law goes.
So I jump in just quickly. We are not, that's what I was trying to get to. And in no way are we allowing providers from other states to come in. What our law does is protects Connecticut-based providers who provide abortion care to individuals from other states. Okay. Additionally, all those advanced practitioners have to be supervised by physicians and will be trained in aspiration abortion.
All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I thank you both for coming on. I know it's a very emotional issue. I thank you for the civil and insightful discussion. Thank you both for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Matt.
me.
All right, so coming up next on The Real Story, from an increase in the minimum wage to an increase in the diesel tax. New state laws are taking effect all across Connecticut, but what do they really mean for you and your wallet? I'm sitting down with an expert on state government.